Thank you. Mr. Neely, could you please call for roll call for attendance for council? And for council people, identify your location, please.
Sure. Member Baranski.
Present.
Fraser?
Oh, sorry, Fraser. Yeah, Fraser.
Thank
Sorry.
you.
Member Blanky.
Fraser City Hall.
Present. Okay.
Present, City Hall, Fraser.
Member Calvin.
Here, Fraser, Michigan.
Vince is muted, by the way.
Oh, you're still muted, Vince.
He's got to put his headphones on. You forgot.
Mr. Mayor, let me, I'll finish out the roll call while Vince is
Okay.
getting started away.
Okay.
Member Lessig,
Present, Fraser, Michigan.
and Member Shornack,
You're muted.
Member Winniwicki.
Present, Fraser, Michigan.
Okay, thank you. At this time, I'm looking for a motion for approval of the agenda as submitted.
I would so move to approve the agenda as it's submitted.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second to approve the agenda as submitted. Mr. Thompson, could you please call roll?
Member Baranski,
Yes.
Member Blanky,
Yes.
Mayor Carnegie,
Yes.
Member Kalka,
Yes.
Member Lessig,
Yes.
Member Shornack,
Yes.
Member Winniwicki.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. At this time, item 5, I would ask for any citizen participation at this time for just the agenda items only. If there's anybody in the waiting room who would like to make a comment, please make yourself known. Okay, I see none at this time. I'll call it back to the chair. Item 6, requests for council action. Item 1, city clerk discussion. Ms. Amy Sell, I believe this is your section. You have the floor.
Yes, thank you very much, Mayor. At the last meeting, I was directed to enter into negotiations with Mason Brzezinski. That negotiation needs some additional clarification on next steps. So at this point, I am looking for guidance from council on next steps in terms of the clerk position.
Mayor Pro Tem Winniwicki, so you have your hand up?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to cease contract negotiations with Mason Brzezinski and proceed with contract negotiations with Brian Fairbrother.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions on that motion at this time? You guys got that?
Can you see me on there? Because I can't pull, I can't, I think it kicked me out.
We don't see Patrice.
No, you disappeared.
Yeah, right. Well, then I go.
She's there. We just can't see her face, and she's muted.
No, that's someone else, I think.
It says Patrice.
Oh, I don't see that.
Here, let me try to unmute you. I can't unmute you. Okay, Mayor Pro Tem, would you like to re-announce your motion, please?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to cease contract negotiations with Mason Brodzinski and to commence with the contract negotiations with Brian Fairbrother under the direction of Amy Sell.
And I seconded that motion.
We have a second. Councilman Shornack, did you want me to wait until you get your,
No, just
Ma-
what was the motion for the email?
do you understand the motion? And
I didn't hear it.
we have a motion to cease negotiations with Mason and to start negotiations with Brian.
That's fine. Yeah.
Okay, so she does understand the motions. Okay, at this time, Mr. Thompson, can you please call a vote?
Member Baranski,
Yes.
Member Blanky, Member
Yes.
Blanky,
Yes,
Yes.
Mayor Carnegie,
no,
Member Kauka,
Yes.
Member Lesich,
No.
Member Shornack,
Patrice?
Yes.
Patrice says yes.
Member Winawiki.
I have.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Motion carries. Ms. Sell, you have your direction now. Are there any questions you have for council at this time?
No, thank you. Thank you very much for that direction.
Okay, thank you. Item 2, proposed park renovation update. Mr. Thompson?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On April 8th, the council meeting of April 8th, we received direction from the council to begin to work on improvements to 3 parks. And Mark Ragsdale, who I think started about.
Okay, forget it. Wait, I'll be there in a second.
Your audio's on.
Well, that's good.
Mr. Ragsdale went to work immediately on that project, and I think we need to recognize his efforts in getting an awful lot accomplished
Okay,
in a very
Pete,
short
says let me in
period of
again, so.
Particularly for a person who was just getting started here and really didn't know his way around. So I think an awful lot of work was done in a short period of time. And among the things that Mr. Ragsdale accomplished was he met with more than one company that could do the work we were looking for, visited our parks and other parks. And then we established a method by which council members and some other interested citizens could visit as well and provide some input. Mark had identified what we think is probably the best contractor to work with. And those folks gave us a proposal based on conversations with Mark Ragsdale, Dave Helzer of our Public Works Department, and the professional from Mid-States Recreation. That proposal was the basis from which we then visited the parks with a variety of elected officials and one member of the rec board. As a result of that, some changes occurred, as you might imagine, when we have a number of people get involved. We have provided to the council a rendering of those changes, including sort of the base work and the changes that were suggested. Obviously, that had an impact on the budget. A couple of things before we get to those specifics. Mr. Ragsdale's also got us as members of a national group that bids these projects. Let me rephrase that. Bids a number of projects out. These are specifically recreation projects, and the award for for Ohio, Michigan, and Indiana went to Mid-States Recreation for playground equipment. So this is a good, fine company based on his analysis of other manufacturers. I think this is probably the best company to deal with. So I think we're dealing with a good company here. I think we have a good plan, and we've had plenty of input from our elected officials. However, as I said, the visits to the various parks, of course, made some changes, and the tentative budget that we had initially at $370,000 has kind of expanded if we try to accomplish everything that the various council members of various elected officials identified. That number gets us up to about $450,000 all told. Jumping back one step, part of the direction from the council also was to try and get this done as quickly as possible with a goal to having it done this summer. We talked specifically about June. I said that was an awfully aggressive schedule. Think it still is, but the company Mid-States Recreation seems to think that they can at least get the project started in the month of June, which I'm frankly surprised at. And while I don't doubt that, it is a very aggressive schedule. Our need tonight, if we want to meet that schedule, is to authorize us to proceed and authorize us to proceed with some sense of direction. At the last meeting, we were, from a budget standpoint, we were at 370. The number is 450 now. Clearly, we can go back and go back to that lower number. We can or go to the higher number. But if we want to meet that schedule, we've got to make some decisions, and we've got to make them tonight. There are also some cost implications, as I think the council's aware. Some numbers are going to change here in the next few days. Also, the representative from Mid-States, I think, is with us. I understood he was going to be on the line with us while at a baseball game. If he's playing baseball or his son is playing baseball tonight, they are a hardy group of ball players, I'd have to say that. So if there are specific questions, technical questions regarding the equipment, we made a commitment that we would address those with the manufacturer's rep early on, so he could go coach third base or whatever it is he's going to do, and we could move on about our decision making and let him go. So if there are specific questions about equipment, let's ask those now. If not, then we need to talk about sort of our scope of the project.
Okay, well, I'll start off with, I have one question as far as the installation. Will the same company and same group of people be in charge of all the installation for all the equipment at all the parks? Is this or something that's subcontracted out to different construction people or?
Mr. Mayor, let me start with saying that our Public Works Department will do the demolition side of the project. We'll clear out the stuff that's coming out.
Right.
And I presume, but I will defer to people who can say with certainty, but I think Mid-States will do all of the installation.
Brian, are you on the line? I see your number there.
And Mr. Ragsdale is joining us.
Is that a 517 number?
Yes, that's Brian Capella's number. He should be on the line. Brian?
Lieutenant, could you unmute 517 number?
Okay, here we go.
Thank you.
I think I got unmuted.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Okay. This is Brian with Mid-States Recreation, and to answer the question on installation, it'd be the same crew of installers doing this the complete project for all three parks.
And is there any other supporter activities or equipment needed that you would have to use from our DPW, or everything that they need to install materials, raw materials? That's all included here.
That's correct. We've provided a turnkey cost for all three parks, with the exception that the demo of the existing swings were to be removed by a DPW. But
Right.
Everything else, from grading, border to concrete flat work, installation of the equipment, the safety surfacing, which in this case would be the engineered wood fiber, would all be supplied or provided by us.
And then also, will there be a project manager who would make sure that everything's being done correctly? And if there's any hiccups or any things that people notice during the assembly or damage, will someone be in charge of handling that right away instead of waiting till the project is complete?
We would handle that right away from the time it was offloaded from trucks. If we find it was damaged in freight or shipping, we'd be working on getting those items warrantied out as soon as possible. I would be providing a state form inspection for each park after we've completed our project, and that would be myself providing that to you guys. As far as service and turnaround time, typically pretty quick with getting out if an issue is reported to us after install. We're here for the duration of the life of the product. We do include a 2-year labor guarantee with the work that we performed at these sites.
Okay. And just for the sake of knowledge, when you put the post in the ground, what type of material do you use when you put in for the foundation type for the posts? And
we use a ready mix truck, so 3,500 PSI footing mix.
Okay. Okay, I believe that's all I have. Is there any council members? I see Councilwoman Shornack. Unmute.
Can you hear me or not? Mine doesn't say.
Now you're on mute. You're still on mute. Guess you're not talking tonight.
Kathy's. Yeah, this is my head. I'm gonna use Kathy's.
There you go.
Because I'm not on mute.
You are not.
So-
You're off now.
No, I'm on Kathy's.
Oh.
Since he's even saying it's not on mute. I don't know what's wrong with the internet, but it's screwed up. Okay, listen. So my question is this. I just want to make sure that the way the equipment is going to be positioned, we're not being intrusive on the surrounding properties, because the park that we put in at Somerset, the big large play station we put in is actually overlooking people's backyards. So it's very intrusive.
So Councilwoman Shornack, I can answer that.
Okay.
The first two parks, Meadows and Harrington, the playscapes will be nowhere near homes at all. Boris Park, yes, there is a house that backs up to Boris Park, but for that reason, we chose a lower standing statue. The height of the highest slide is 6 feet.
And that fence, I think, is what, an 8-foot fence?
It's 6.
It should be
Is it
6.
6? Okay.
Only because I put it in. That's the only reason I know. It's my old house.
Brian, while you're on the line, can you talk to the city council about how the warranties work?
Sure. So if it's chosen to move forward with the CoverWorks shelters, that's the manufacturer we've provided in this scenario. I'm the rep for CoverWorks, and they're a local company. Actually, they're out of Warren, Michigan. We do a lot of shelters for the city of Detroit. They're general services department, and they carry a 10-year warranty on their product. As long as it's not installed by brackish or salt water, which in this scenario, I don't think we need to worry about that. Then on to Playworld's equipment, which they're manufactured in Pennsylvania, central Pennsylvania in Lewisburg. Their warranty kind of breaks down in a little different fashion. there basically you get a limited warranty for as long as you own the product for all your uprights, your stainless steel connectors, your clamps, that kind of thing. Then they have a 25-year warranty on your spring mates. Well, in this scenario, that does matter for you guys because you do have spring mates included in your designs in 2 of them. The other ones have cow and forget horse maybe or something like that, a rotomolded plastic spring toy versus the cast aluminum. But your big ticket item, folks, is your 15-year warranty for all your perforated steel decks, your stairs, your railings, your stationary weldments, the rotationally molded plastic components, which would be like your slides and that type of thing. What this warranty covers is, if these things are broke under normal wear and tear, not evidence of sledgehammers and somebody vandalizing it. Even in some scenarios, they've warranted some of that out if we're created with pictures, but typically they don't ask questions. They're a great company as far as that's concerned. But you'll find with any manufacturer, they will not warranty or pay for in that warranty the labor to replace the equipment. So what this warranty covers basically is providing you the new part freighted to a destination of your choosing.
Also, Brian, could you talk to him about what we talked about, installation times, what to expect with each park, and what to expect with the playground equipment versus the pavilions?
Okay, so our lead time today, folks, if it was ordered today, we would have it in our hands basically before June 1st. A couple days before the 1st of June. So that's obviously if it was ordered today. As we progress into the season, the easiest way I explain this to people is we're similar to an asphalt contractor. We have a limited window. It seems like for parks and schools, for instance, they like to do all their work during the summertime. Obviously, when nobody's in school. That's beneficial to them. So what happens here as we get into the season, things really start ramping up. Mark had asked me, at the onset, could we do this project? I said, absolutely. He said, can it be done in June? I said, absolutely. So that was 2 weeks ago, obviously, when I said that. I still feel pretty confident we can get through 2 of those parks in June. With a wraparound maybe on the 3rd part into July, but that's provided I get a PO and we have settled in on colors like tomorrow or Monday, you know what I mean? Something like that. So this thing keeps moving. Like if we move out a week or 2 before we make a decision, we might be installing in August at that point because everybody's trying to get their orders in. We are going through some unprecedented times with raw materials and that kind of stuff and price increases. So I made that known up front with Mr. Ragsdale regarding price increase for the equipment itself. And it can be pretty substantial. We have committed with Play World to say, you know what, these folks they're on the precipice of ordering. Can we hold this, our pricing before the price increase, till the 31st of May to give them an opportunity to think about that. We agreed to that as long as we had a letter of intent. And then I'm not sure. I was talking to Mark Ragsdale earlier today. There is an additional line item on each one of those proposals that states, if you order it before May 1st, you deduct that dollar amount off of that proposal as well. So you have your MPP discount, which is National Purchasing Partners, which is a cooperative that folks can utilize to purchase products through, which we're offering that discount through that cooperative. And then we were also offering that discount to avoid that price increase. This is what this is.
So if you add up those extra discounts, it comes up to a total of $16,528 extra that would come off the 453. Also, if you add on the last addition that our Councilman Lessig had suggested, which was an additional $13,000, it would be $1,100 that came off of that. So it'd only be $12,000. So you're looking, as Mr. Thompson said, you're looking at a total of about 448 total. But what we are looking for is we're trying to get a commitment from City Council this evening. If I'm to meet your target date that you wanted, this has to happen tonight, because 1 or 2 weeks is not going to put you back 1 or 2 weeks further. 1 or 2 weeks could put you back 2 to 3 months out with the amount of people that are ordering, and the cities are all getting this COVID money, and everybody's wanting to use it on the parks. My recommendation is to go with the full bit with the addition that Councilman Lessig had suggested with Boris Park. I'm suggesting that we go with the purple and beige theme at Meadows Park, because you have brown and green already going in at Boris, and you just did the brown and green at Somerset Park. So plus, I personally, I think it really sets the park off. I think it's very attractive, especially to a child. I'm also recommending that we go with the dark blue roof on the Harrington Pavilion, because that will match the color scheme. If you look at the dark blue, I think it's going to look really good. And that's why I went with a beige color roof on the on the Meadows Park, because it would go with the beige and purple scheme.
So this is Brian again. One more thing I want to add. We talked about kind of timeline of playgrounds, and then the idea of shelters came up. Our shelters, the shelter manufacturing time is fairly extended, meaning 12 to 14 weeks from when you order. It goes to engineering. We provide sealed drawings, so we know what size footings are needed for these pavilions, and then it goes into production. So those are a 12 to 14 week lead time. So obviously, with that being said, we wouldn't have those in even in July. So those would be more like August, possibly September timeframe for those items. Doesn't mean we couldn't do a lot of the other stuff beforehand. In order of operations for us doing pavilions, we do footings, then erect the pavilion, and then pour the slab around it. So you get a cleaner look between slab and the shelter. So the concrete flat work at the shelter would be done after the shelter's installed.
I'm very excited about this, and I'm thankful for the opportunity. I've worked with playground equipment my whole career, but I've never got a chance to actually design and lay out a park. I've always been the guy that's either had to install it or repair it and clean it. But I've never got a chance to actually design it and lay out the landscape. So it was a challenge, but I'm happy about it.
Is there any other questions regarding the playground equipment? I guess I will add, Playworld's been around for 50 years. They're not a new company. The Fraser School District has Playworld equipment. Royal Oak School District has Playworld equipment. Sterling Heights Parks has Playworld equipment. City of Detroit has Playworld equipment. So it's all around you folks. It's not a new company. They've been around for a long time. I myself have come from the install side of things, but 6 years ago I took the rep position for Play World, but I've been installing playgrounds since the mid '90s.
This company, Mid-States, they come highly recommended too from City of Sterling Heights and Brownstown Township, one of my former employers. But I've made field trips to both Brownstown Township and Sterling Heights, and absolutely loved the equipment that they have installed. And it seems to be more child appealing when you look at their catalogs, at some of their layouts, than their competitors.
Yeah, actually, you installed the playscape at my wife's school, and that was very nice. And also, Brian, just wanted to thank you for holding those prices for us. We're just sitting around talking about it, and it's just an idea to take a little bit of pressure off conversation, at least to give us a time, because we knew we had this meeting coming up anyway. So I appreciate that. Councilwoman Kalko, you were next.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Brian, for getting on the stick here and getting this done for us. I appreciate it tremendously. Obviously, it's been very comprehensive in terms of the itemizations. I have a couple of questions about Meadows Park. In particular, the installation of the volleyball, the sand volleyball courts. That area that is going to be where this is going to be installed currently has a play structure in it. It has been my experience over the last almost 10 years that area floods a lot, and it actually inhibits the kids' ability to actually use that playground equipment in that area now. And my kids will tell you it's sinking. That's what my kids will tell you, that area is sinking in. It's like literally the ground is sinking. And when I was looking at the installation information with regard to putting in the I think it's like pea gravel or some, and then the sand, pea stone trenched. Okay. So my question to you is, have you guys done any runoff studies to just kind of see, to make sure? Because what I don't want to have happen is I don't want to put this in and then we can't use it because it just continues to flood. And that area is very predominant for that. And it's, even when you walk on it, I think the people that came with us will tell you it's like spongy. It's a bad area, and it's not that it can't be fixed, right? It just needs the proper drains. And I just want to make sure that that is something that's brought to your attention before we do this, because obviously we want to use that volleyball system, because last year during COVID, there was a group of people that kept coming and like putting up a whole volleyball net, and they would play all night. They'd listen to music. So I think it'll be a really great addition to this park.
Okay. Valid concerns with water and sites. We have included what we've done here is we've included a 4-inch perforated drain tile that's going to sit in a pea stone trench, and we're going to trench it out to daylight. My directions might be bad on this one, but I believe it would be to the west from that sand volleyball area. Now, what I haven't done is taken some shots, to see what kind of grade changes we do have. But maybe one of the things that we could do is kind of build that area up a little bit more before we put our drainage and our sand layer down. The one thing that we do have going for us, if we do the drainage and we use sand, it's probably not going to be as spongy as you would find with decaying wood chip that would have been underneath that structure. Sure. Over time, it kind of turns to a mushy topsoil, if you will. And that wood fiber has a tendency to hold moisture a lot longer than sand would, say.
Excellent. And then the other question I have is something that's kind of unique to this park is that it attracts a ton of geese. And what I'm concerned about is when we have the sand volleyball system, is there some way, or maybe Mr. Ragsdale, if something we can talk about later on, or maybe you can explore how we could try to keep the geese away from the sand volleyball I know that sounds ridiculous. However, I have been told that there may be some plants for some sort of landscaping that might be able to be installed maybe around the volleyball area so that the geese will stay away, because nobody's going to play sand volleyball if there's poop all inside of the sand. And so I just want to try to be proactive with looking into that to see, in fact, if we can maybe install some type of landscaping next to or near that area to try to keep the geese away, because it is by the pond. And like I said, I know this is going to be a really great thing. It's just that we have to try to figure out, be proactive with some of the problems that we have with the limitations. That's one thing. Obviously, we don't need to address it today, but it just definitely needs to be on the radar, because it is something that it'll turn into a huge problem and no one will use that. And I don't want that. I don't want to see that happen. So I want to be proactive. The other thing, and Brian, maybe you can answer this, and this actually goes to the other two parks that we have just had done last year, and that is with regard to ongoing maintenance. I'd like to see, a plan in place with regard to what that maintenance looks like, so that we can, maximize the length of time that these parks stay in good condition. One of the things that we have, learned over time is that we just neglected our parks. I mean, we neglected them, and I don't want to see that happen again. I don't want to spend this kind of money and then just have us, act like, it is what it is. I would like to have a comprehensive plan in place as to what is being done every year. With, we're inspecting, we're repainting, what, the manufacturer recommends that we can do proactively to be, on the stick, if you will, to make sure that we keep our playground equipment in good condition, in good shape, and that we have inspections so we can, in fact, take a look at what we have, so that we don't end up having swing sets that, look ridiculous. That shouldn't happen. So that's kind of, obviously down the road, but Mr. Ragsdale, if you can work with Brian, and you said that you've had, great experience with this, so I'm sure this isn't going to be rocket science, right, in terms of putting together a plan for this. I just want to make sure that it's done right, and that we can revisit this every year, and we can talk about what needs to be done, so that way we can maximize the longevity of these parks, and that they continue to look amazing. And really all I can say, is that I commend you both. You've done, this is excellent, excellent work. This is what we're looking for, Mr. Ragsdale. This is what we're looking for. You hit the ground running. You got this done. You did what people thought you couldn't do, and I commend you. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, and the city thanks you for working your butt off to get this done. And I'm just so pleased that finally, we're starting to see the kind of progress that I expect in our city. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman Kalka. Appreciate it. To answer your question about geese, there's two deterrents that a lot of companies are using. Ford Motor Company, for one, does this. Is you buy 3D cutouts. They're 3D statues, actually, of coyotes. And since there's the pond there, the other thing that they're using are floating, and it really works, are floating alligator and crocodile heads. That stick out of the head. Yes. It's the only thing that you stick out of water, because if you think about it, it's that pond that's attracting the geese, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So if we were to put these floating alligator heads or crocodile heads in the retention pond, you may deter the geese from coming there in the first place, because again, it's the water that's attracting the geese. So that would be my suggestion. That's where I would start with for deterring the geese.
Okay. No, that's great. I just want to be proactive. That's all.
Yeah, I have experience at the lake with the coyote. 3D coyotes are less of a deterrent than the gator heads, and the plant material that Ms. Kalka was talking about is something you plant around the base of the lake itself, where they don't want to walk through it to come up onto the grass areas. So
makes sense.
And if it takes 4 more inches of sand for the volleyball court, playing volleyball in deep sand is always more fun anyway. So,
So with council's permission, I would like to purchase some of those alligator heads.
Another time, Mark.
Yeah. Let's continue
Let
on
us
with.
spend the park money first. But I'm sure that it'll be unanimous.
Councilwoman Baranski, you were next.
Yes, I don't have any more questions for Brian. So since he is otherwise engaged, I'll defer. I just wanted to talk about the plans globally.
Okay, were there any other questions for Brian at this time? Mayor Pro Tem Winowicki.
Yeah, Brian, if we were to say not go with a shelter at Harrington, would it affect any of the discounts that are listed? I mean, that's a $25,000 addition to Harrington that a lot of us did not anticipate. So would there be any reduction of the discounts if we were to eliminate that?
Yes, there would be. I think it's a 5% on the structure itself, and then 6% on installation. So if you remove, so that deduct that you're seeing, not the line item for that's not been added to the overall total. That's not been in it, but the one above it where it's the MPP discount,
Right.
that would come down slightly because that was removed.
But then the installation would also come down by 6%, you say?
That's right. So you would remove, so your discount, so in short, when you remove pieces off of this, yes, your discount is going to get a little bit smaller as well, proportionately. Yep.
Along with installation.
Correct. That's correct.
Kind of.
And then,
okay.
Yep. And then back to Councilmember Kulka on the maintenance kind of program, that kind of thing. We do offer that ourselves. However, what we've done in the past is kind of help develop a program for cities, because that's the last thing I really want to see either is somebody's hard-earned money spent on something and then it just goes out the window. So we have documentation that tells what to look for, maintenance required on these pieces, and then it's a matter of setting up, kind of time frames to go by and check for surfacing, those types of things. But each one is kind of tailored to the use of parks, right? So it's kind of difficult for me to say, well, every 5 years you got to switch out your swing pendulums. Or your chain on your swings because it's starting to get wore out. Well, that depends on usage of equipment. Some people are replacing it every year, it totally depends on the usage in the park. But I am more than willing and happy to assist whoever might take on that role within the city to help develop a comprehensive plan in that regard.
If I may, it would be my suggestion that if the council, if it's going to be your wishes to put in a pavilion at Harrington Park, do it now while we're still getting the good price. And everything is done all at once, because that means the concrete is going to match. That means the equipment is put in at the same time. So the paint fading is going to be, fading at the same time. Whether if we wait a couple years and we go back and put it, now we're paying more for it than we did. So my suggestion would be decide if you want a pavilion or not. And if you did, I would suggest that you go for it now. And if you don't want a pavilion at all, then obviously, 86 to pavilion.
Okay. And then also, Mrs. Kulka, I've noticed, I don't know if it's the Fraser schools, but the one I looked at, there's 3 checks for maintenance a year. They do one in the fall, get ready for winter. They do one in the spring and start up, and they do one midsummer. And that's their DPW, just walking through the parks, do the checkoff list, oil things, whatever it takes. Part of that, as you said, a maintenance schedule, and it works really well. It keeps being proactive, not reactive.
Mayor, I do have one other follow-up question for Brian about that maintenance schedule.
Sure.
And he said that, so Brian, is that something that's included in all of this, or is that something that is like extra, or could there be an extra is there, do you provide like an extra fee to do, to do maintenance? I'm just trying to explore all avenues. I'm not necessarily suggesting we need that. I just was trying to get some more information on when you said about you offer a maintenance, and maybe I got confused. So if you could just elaborate for me, please.
Well, we can work in any capacity. So for Lampier schools, for instance, I go through on an annual basis and look their equipment over, find out what parts need to be replaced. I prepare quotes for those parts that need to be replaced if they're not covered under warranty, and provide a labor quote to handle that. So it kind of depends on the manpower within the city's organizations that might be able to do some of this work.
Okay.
So it's kind of tailored to how you guys need it. But if you're if you're wanting a maintenance program that we would offer you, yes, we can do that for you.
Okay.
If you're wanting us to help develop, a maintenance program by utilizing the documentation that we already have, we can do that too. That wouldn't be at any additional charge to you.
Okay. That's what I was kind of getting at, is just help us develop a maintenance program, because I think we have the manpower. So that's perfect.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. You're welcome.
Councilman Lessig, you're next.
Yes, thank you very much. I just had a question. The volleyball court proposed for Meadows is $13,400. Is there what is it about volleyball court today that costs almost $14,000? Besides the pea gravel and the excavation, it seems like a lot of money for just a one feature that will get, I think, limited use compared to other things like swing sets and toddler rides, which I had put out there for Boris Park. But what makes it a $14,000 volleyball court?
You want me to answer that?
Yeah.
Okay. I gave, I don't have that with me, but I gave a breakdown on where those dollars come into play. Now, when you say that, there's a discount associated with that too, a percentage of that. But regardless of that, you have, I think, if memory serves me, it's like $1,400 or $1,500 for the volleyball net supplied with freight. Then you're going to have install of that net, which is $800, something like that. You have, we have to dig out the area a little bit around the edges, and then get rid of that. Then we have to provide 200 and some odd lineal foot of drain tile dug in a trench filled with pea stone to daylight. And then you have a couple gravel trains of mason sand coming in, which we can't drive gravel trains obviously out to the site, so we have to truck that in from the road via smaller machines. Otherwise, we create all kind of damage. So I think when you add all those things up, as well as restoration around it from things that we may have disturbed, that's how you come up to that number. I don't know if Mark, if you have that you can share with council or not.
No, I followed along. Yeah, I had a septic.
Councilman Lessig, a breakdown of that.
Yeah, some of that. I appreciate the clarification, though. Yeah, I had a septic field dug about the same size. It was $5,000 a few years ago. So it's digging's expensive. I understand. I guess my main concern on Meadows Park is that it is significantly higher than any other park that we've looked at upgrading. It is not the largest of the three parks. Harrington is actually 4 acres. Meadows is slightly over half an acre, I believe. So I would like to and we have a fair amount of features. The structures, $25,000 more than the other two parks. And so I would just like to make sure that we're being equitable to all of our residents, especially Harrington Trails, and Boris, I think, could use a couple more toddler pieces. So that's why I had requested what the pricing would be. And if we are going to upgrade the swings in every other park, I think that it would just be, as Mark pointed out, if we did it all at once, they would age gracefully together. And we would have a consistent setup in each of our parks. So those are the things that I thought. I would be amenable to reducing the Meadows scope of the project to bring that more in line with Harrington. So those are my thoughts. Not sure where they would go, but thought I would share. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Baranski, you raised your hand or
Sure,
did you want?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's fine. If again, I don't know if anyone else has anything for Brian, just because they said he had a personal obligation. And so if we're going to start talking about the particular parks, I just don't want him to miss his son's T-ball game. That should come first.
Well, let me check with Kathy.
Yeah.
Kathy, did you have something technical for Mark or did you?
I just want to,
Or I mean, I'm sorry, for Brian?
no.
No. Okay, is there any other questions for Brian at this time?
Well, thank you, Brian.
Okay, I don't see any, Brian, so you are free to go coach, whatever you do. Thank you very much for your time, your effort, as everybody said, and helping us out. And I'm glad to see that you're online with us to answer questions, because I prefer anytime we're doing business with suppliers or people that they participate this way. So thank you.
Oh, you're more than welcome. A lot of times these playgrounds are more important to me than they are to others. So, thank you for your time, and I will sign off.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Thanks for all your effort.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Yep.
Hold on. Can you guys hear me now?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, good. Finally got it fixed. Thank you.
Go ahead, Ms. Baranski. You have the floor.
Thank you. I think I'm a little perplexed. I had the impression, based upon when we were at the site, the Harrington actual free open play space was actually very small. I think that the size of the park might be deceiving because it has that long easement with the path. But in terms of where we can functionally put equipment, it is quite small. But that being said, I don't disagree that I think that it's a little bit lopsided in that Meadows was much higher than I thought. My global thoughts, when we walked the site with Mr. Ragsdale, he had said that the swing sets were fine at Boris. And so I was fine with that. I can go either way on whether we replace them all. The only thing I would say is if we are replacing the swing sets at Boris and incurring that expense, I would ask that the color scheme then be changed, because the reason that the brown and green was selected was because it matched the existing swing set. And to me, part of the draw of putting that there is cars passing by, and a more vibrant color would be more appealing since we already have a park that is in the greens and browns. I like that each park would be a little different, because I do agree with Mr. Ragsdale. I think the purple really pops at Fraser Meadows. So the only thing I would ask, if the majority wants to do the swings, I think I do see a benefit to everything being done. I would just say, can we switch the color scheme for Boris?
Absolutely. Do you
in
have a
terms-
color scheme in mind?
It doesn't matter to me, whatever. I just something that pops more from the road is all I'm thinking.
Okay. No problem.
In terms of Harrington, I just think that park is too small to put a pavilion in. I would personally rather see either another play feature or possibly a volleyball court there. I have a park that has a pavilion and a volleyball court and a play structure. The irony is, when I looked at the Harrington, you had 2 picnic tables outside plus a pavilion. It's a lot of seating. And I walk my park every day, and every week the DPW puts them back when they cut the grass, and every week the picnic tables are then moved to be put out in the sun by the play equipment. I just don't see a need for a pavilion in Harrington myself. I like it in Meadows because that park is much more of a wide open floor plan or footprint. But that's really my thought. And my only other concern is I appreciate that it's like 2 regular swings, 2 infant swings, and then 2 of the, I think one is a handicap accessible, and I don't know if is one a mommy and me. I'm wondering if we need all of those at each of the parks and I'm not opposed to it. I just, when you're out there with a group of friends and you all want to hop on the swings, only 2 of the bigger kids can swing. And I'm wondering if we have to have all of those, 2 infant, 2 baby, or you know what I'm saying, like 2, 2, and 2, as opposed to maybe eliminate the special swing. I don't know. That's just my question. It's not definitive.
Councilman Brandy, let me point something out that I learned by doing this. So we can do this however you guys want, but keep in mind your regular swings, right? Those are called your belt swings, and you cannot put a belt swing in the same bay with a toddler swing,
Correct.
a mommy, or
Right.
a ADA. So it's either, now you could, if you want to eliminate the mommy and me, you could eliminate the mommy and me, and you could put a toddler in that bay, and then you could open up the other 2 bays for 2 regular belt swings. But you can't put a belt
Yep.
swing in the same bay with any of the other 3 swings. And I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, that's kind of what I had thought. So that was kind of my thought, was do exactly that. So you have 4 bigger kid swings, a baby swing, and a modified swing of some capacity in those. But again, that's just my personal opinion. But other than that, I do appreciate all the effort. And I do think 100% it's worth, given all of the different parks and all of the different communities that this vendor has worked for, and given the cost savings that we will have. And more important for me than the cost savings is the fact that we are the first ones in, and we're going to get it done this summer. Hands down, I want the other residents to enjoy what the residents in the 2 parks that we've done have had this summer. So I'm all for pushing it through or finalizing it as soon as possible. Thank you.
Yeah, it's, I said it from day one, it's probably one of my biggest goals to get these kids back to some normalcy, outside playing, and and these parks will last for a long time to get them to do that. So I think it's good all the way around. Councilwoman Blanky, you were next.
Thank you.
Can you mute, please?
First of all, Mark, thank you. I just echo what everyone else.
Kathy, you want to mute?
No, I'm not.
I can't hear her.
Yeah, we're fixing it.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
Yep.
Yes, perfect.
Yes,
okay. She touched my ear and it went on. Okay,
We all saw it.
okay. First of all, Mark, thank you so much. And like many other have said, you're exactly what we're looking for. I have worked with several DPW directors in this town and through my life. And I will say that I appreciate the care and the instincts that you're bringing to the party here for all of us. I heard the other day that someone called you about a tree being down in Blanky Park, and you were there the next day to clean it up. And I think that's what we were looking for right along and appreciate a lot. Relative to the park, the City of Fraser has used Play World before. So they are a good company, and I feel that your choice is commendable. With regard to trying to second guess what everyone's going to use and what the expectations of equipment and whatever within each park is, that's pretty hard to gauge. I think it's kind of hard to say, well, we don't, need a volleyball. We don't need this. We don't need that. That will all take care of itself. Boris Park has been so shut down for so many years that I'm certain a lot of people don't even realize there's a park there. And so once it gets renovated and, people are going to realize that. So what I'm saying that I'm all for the plans that you put into place. I commend you. That's what we're paying you for, is to do this job. We've had oversight within it, but I am totally in agreement with what you have presented. And I agree with everyone that the city is going to be much better for this, and I'm so glad that it's getting done. I have a question, Mark. How much were the swings in Boris Park? How much extra was that?
So it's roughly to add the swings to Boris Park. Additionally, just for the swings, not the spring toddlers springs. I want to say installation and everything would be about $6,000, about $5,000 more maybe. Because it was installation cost, but the actual swing itself is only like $2,000 more. But it just depends on if we went with a 4-unit or a 6-unit.
Right,
The other parks, we have 6-unit swings.
right.
So, but it's a total, let me explain. Because we were the existing swing holds 4 swings. So if we go with the same size as we had with the other parks, you're adding 2 more swings, which means you have to extend the base out with the border and the wood chips and everything else. So there's the extension, there's the cost of the swing, the swing set itself, an additional the mommy and me, and another toddler swing. Then you have the 2 spring animals. So it's the total to do all of that is $13,000 minus $1,100 if we get the PO in, if we move on this thing this week with the PO. So you're only looking at $11,000 more to add 2 bouncy horses. And I would have to agree with Councilman Lessig in the aspect of that there was nothing there for the toddlers. So by adding the 2 bouncy things, what I did was, so just so we're all clear, is the reason why I kept the additional swing is I was doing what I was instructed to do by city council, was stay within my budget. It wasn't that I didn't think we needed new swings, because I agree with Councilman Lessig that you can put the new swings in like you did everything else. But I laid it out according to what my instructions was this is your budget. We want it in the ground by June. It was the only directives I was given. So I stayed within that. But now that we see that we have some room to flex or move, I would recommend that we go ahead and change the swing. And Councilwoman Baranski is exactly right. That's why I went with the green and brown scheme, was to match the old swings. Now that we're not, we changed the color scheme so that it pops more.
Okay, and I agree with all that, and I'm happy to hear that you agreed with that addition and that it falls into your opinion of the whole thing. Again, I don't think that park was used much, but I do believe it will be. I appreciate what everyone said and all their input and whatever. And that being said, I will make a motion to go forward with these parks with the cost of $448,000 with the additions as mentioned, with the colors as mentioned, and to move forward. And
Not including the pavilion.
not including the pavilion.
Okay.
Right.
And Harrington.
I'd second that.
I'm sorry.
And Harrington, right?
Correct. No pavilion.
And the additional swings in Boris.
Correct.
Okay.
And I'd second that.
Mr. Thompson, may I? Was it?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, let's make sure we understand. There's a motion and a second. Perhaps it would be time for a little bit more discussion. We want to talk about finances a little bit here, and I'll make a couple of statements, and then Mr. Nayland can speak. Obviously, this was not anticipated in this year's budget, so that's not to suggest that we can't do it, but we will have to come back to council at a subsequent meeting to get this money in the budget. And go ahead, Vince, why don't you take it from there, if you would, please, just so we know what to expect.
Absolutely. Good evening. We hadn't budgeted for this item or these park projects, I believe. I took a look at the general ledgers and the fund, and I know that we set some monies aside, $230,000, I believe, for Somerset and Pompo, if I recall correctly, for this fiscal period. As far as these particular, these three parks that we were renovating, we hadn't really set the money aside. So I'm wondering if council's, where in your mind do you plan to take that money from?
And I'm sorry, go ahead, Mr. Mayor, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Well, let's got a bunch of hands going off. Mr. Lessig?
Well, first thing is we didn't run a recreation or senior activity program for the last year, so we saved over $200,000 in those two programs. So through not utilizing our labor, et cetera. So we do have some savings from that, which I think could reasonably be justified to put into our other aspects of our recreation parks program. So that's one thought. We also had budgeted $250,000 in the proposed budget for next year for similar upgrades. So between the $200,000 or so we saved this year plus the $250,000 we're budgeting for next year, that gets us to that number. Pretty close.
Mr. Lessig, I might address that, and that's correct, although we'll have to do a budget amendment this year. We can't spend next year's money this year if it's not in this year's budget. So, and likewise with the other comments that you made, and they are accurate comments, we'll have to do a budget amendment for that as well. For example, we wouldn't spend money out of a personnel line item in the senior recreation center for this. We have to move it to the right places, which is in large part what Mr. Nayland was talking about. There will have to be some budgetary movement here in order for us to do this, and we would expect to have that before you on an agenda next week, or rather, I should say next week, next meeting.
Let me just wrap that up. I was just using that as an example that we did have savings over in that program. We also have a capital improvement fund that has $1.25 million in it.
No, that capital improvement fund was for next year. That's for the next fiscal period, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right, Mr. Thompson?
It's been around about a year. It's been around over a year. So we've drawn from that for the Brewhoff project.
Well, regardless of where it is, we'll have to come back to you with a budget amendment.
Yeah, that's
Mr.
fine.
Nayland's not suggesting we don't have the money. What he's suggesting is we don't have the money budgeted. We'll have to
in
get
the right spot. Yes, we don't have it in the right spot and in the
That's
right line item
exactly
to spend it in the right way. I understand. Thank you.
Okay. I do see everybody, so let me just go through the people. Councilwoman Baranski, you were next.
Yeah, so just so that the public is clear, we have the money. It's just a matter of doing the paperwork to take it from X to put it to Y, just so that the accounting is correct for this year, correct, Mr. Nayland?
Yes, what I was getting at is we have the money.
Okay.
And the unassigned fund, you've got $10 million.
Right, because that's, you all had us all freaking out here for a second.
No,
Just pay attention and here we had money.
Right, what I was getting at is,
Things change every week.
what I was getting at is it wasn't budgeted for.
Fair enough.
It wasn't budgeted for, and what I was looking for is council prepared to make some sort of resolution for where that money is coming from?
Yes.
So for example, if it came from the general fund out of cash, then council will make a resolution to move that money from there to assign to this park project. Another potential would be perhaps the gambling forfeiture fund. Another potential would be the COVID money that we expect that's coming. So there's three options, and that's all I was getting at, is where does council plan on making a resolution for this money to come from?
So let me ask you,
Yep.
Galen, do we have to make that today, or can we wait until hopefully the first allocation comes in May of the?
Oh, Mrs. Baranski, I can answer that question.
Yeah.
We need to identify quickly where the money's coming from, because we've got to sign it. We've got to, purchase order, the purchase order's got to identify where the money is. That's not to say that in a future time we can't move money around, but if we're going to make a commitment this week or early next week, we've got to be able to identify that. We'll follow up very quickly with the necessary budget amendments. We can get it done, but we just want to make you aware that we're going to have to move some money around to do that.
Okay, so we can take it from the general fund and always reallocate later if we do get this extra money.
Yes. Yes.
Our purpose for bringing this up was to make sure that the council understood what was going to happen from a financial standpoint. There are two aspects of this project. Part of it is the parks and the wonderful things we're going to do there, and part of it is the mechanics of the finances. That's an equally important, although less attractive aspect of the project. You need to be aware of that. I think in the past we haven't always made the council aware of those kinds of items.
I think we're well aware of all of that. But thank you. Appreciate the reminder for sure.
Lessons learned. Councilwoman Shornack, you were next.
Actually, I was going to ask the maker of the motion, Ms. Blanky, to amend her motion to state right here and now that the funds for these parks will be taken with a special allocation that we will vote on from the general ledger. That way it's just done. With this whole motion, everything's just nice and clean. We'll specify everything out and make sure that everybody's in agreement. So it's nice and tidy with a bow. Would you be willing to?
You're on mute, Kathy.
No? Oh, Kathy is.
Definitely. Okay. All right.
Go ahead, Mr. Ragsdale.
Yes, so a couple of things I just wanted to throw out, keep in mind. The motion was made to remove the pavilion from Harrington. So that's going to roughly be $48,000 less right there. So now we're back down about 400,000. I just wanted to point that out.
Good.
And then,
We're adding swings.
huh? What?
Did you say
We're adding
48?
swings.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Five people's talking at once. I couldn't hear anybody. What?
What was your question, Patrice?
I said we're adding swings at Forest. So that'll be a little adjustment there. That was all I was.
Well, that was with the swings. That was with the addition. So the other thing I wanted to point out too is what I would like to do real quick is go through each park so that I'm clear on what I'm.
Can we do that, Mark? Can we haven't voted, we haven't opined, there's not even been a vote. I just want to, because I want to clarify before anyone says anything, not to cut you off, but you're a little bit cart before the horse. Like, we don't even know if we have a 5 yet. Okay. Not to cut you off, but and I know you're excited, but because that was what my question was I want to clarify what Kathy's motion is to see if I can vote in favor of it or not.
Okay.
Okay, my motion will be to accept the proposal for Harrington, Forest, and Meadows Park not to exceed the amount of $440,000. That would include removing the pavilion, and the funds for these renovations would come out of the general fund.
Okay, so I have a couple questions just so that I can see. It's adding in it includes the swing sets. Does it include the I can't think what they're called, but the bouncy things for the infants?
Yes.
Coil spring toys.
Thank you. The coil spring toys. Yes. Okay. And then what about changing the color scheme at Boris? Is that part of your motion or not? From brown to more vibrant?
To the purple, right?
Okay, perfect.
Yes, right. Just what was,
Well,
yeah.
we didn't pick a color.
well, no, after your explanation and that, I thought we all agreed, everyone, I will say that the color with the swing should be purple and beige. Yes,
Or bright, just bright.
bright.
Yeah, because we were going to do purple. That's why I just want to make sure, because as you worded the motion is to approve the plans as presented, and the plans as presented, just so that it's clear for Mark, are that Boris would be greens and browns. And we'd have to clarify for Meadows because we have two different color schemes. And I am in support of it. So I know it sounds petty, but I'm trying to just be, make sure it's button tight for Mark. So a bright, vibrant color for Boris, and then the purples for Fraser Meadows. Is that your motion?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. Then I can support that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Questions?
You're seconding it?
You're mute, Nick.
Sorry. Is there any other comments or questions on that amended motion? I see none, so
I did have a question. I'm sorry.
go ahead, Mr. Lesage. Go ahead.
Mark, you said that removing that pavilion from Harrington would save $48,000. Is that true? Is that
Yeah,
accurate?
I'm looking at the quote that you all have, and it says $47,758.
And that was for the shelter and the installation, the concrete pad and the whole thing?
Yes, yes.
Say that again. How much was that?
$47,758.
I think that's the play structure. The pavilion was 25,825.
Oh, okay. Did I look at the wrong line item?
I think so. That's
Maybe
why
I did.
you gave me a heart attack. That's an expensive shelter. So.
Yeah, the structure was $26,000.
I'm sorry, I looked at the wrong line item.
Yeah.
That's okay.
The structure, the 21,2,356 structure is the play
You're right.
structure, and that was 47.
I stand corrected. You're right, Mr. Lesage. It's 25,825.
Plus the pad and the installation and,
Yes.
and all that.
Yes.
I had a question. That's a fairly large structure. I went over to Moravian Park yesterday, and they have a similar structure from Polygon. It's a hexagon structure, but it's smaller. It's like 18 feet, which would perhaps fit better in that Harrington Trails site. So maybe as a follow-up, you could do some digging and see what a smaller one would be if we wanted to go with that in the future.
Sure.
But, apparently it's out of this. So back to this Harrington, it would not be a $48,000 reduction. It would be somewhere in the, I don't know, 35,000 with concrete and installation and the pavilion.
What, can you clarify, Mr. Lesage? I'm looking at $25,000 line item and a $26,000 line item. The line item for it, and then the line item for installation. So the pavilion is 25,825, and then the installation is 26,600. Am I looking at it wrong?
I don't know if that installation covers all of the rest of the equipment or just the
Nope,
shelter.
it reads, it's pretty specific because there are other installation charges, I thought, but I could be wrong.
Let's see.
Because it's
Trying to find that.
erection of shelter and multiple rib metal roof, provide hexagonal slab 2 feet
I guess
beyond. So it is actually a $51,000 savings.
That's quite a bit of money.
For once,
So
I
we're now
caught the
down to
math. I wonder
111.
what it was.
So now we're down to 110,000 for Harrington and 217 for Meadow. Okay. All right.
Council,
So we really don't have a nailed down price.
Okay, we're making.
You're mute. You're mute.
Okay, there's chatting going on and different thoughts, I think a motion was out there And, you know, I don't know why we're confusing this. I would, however, like, and I'm gonna ask, Mayor Pro Tem Winowicki, would you come up with a total for us, please, so I can make an appropriate motion? Come on.
Your motion's appropriate, Kathy, because you said not to exceed.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine. You're
Your
fine.
I like your not to exceed. You did
Okay.
put limitations in it with, there's no cost difference for changing colors. You did exclude the pavilion. And you did come up with a method of funding, and you also put a not to exceed. So
Okay.
I think when all the brass tacks are down, I think we're going to be well under the 440 that you came into. So
Okay, well, so I just want
For
to make
alligator
sure
heads.
we're all on the same. Because all these different things keep popping up now. So that's my motion. Thank you.
Well, I don't want to muck up your motion.
Don't even think about it.
I was just, I thought the other subdivision had an interest in a pavilion like the other sub did too, and we just dropped it like that, where, maybe a different size would have been okay or all that, but, if we're looking at a cost savings, then I guess if we want to lower the cost, that's a good way of doing it then, but. I'll just leave it at that.
Right.
Go ahead.
No, but you know, Mayor, I see what you're saying and whatever, but because we make the motion this evening and we move forward with the purchase order and the planning and the finances, that doesn't mean these parks, you know, maybe because they haven't been taken care of, doesn't mean down the road, you know, if there's a need, against a lot of these needs and usage are just all question marks. We don't know.
Yep.
But at least we can get this started and add to it as we need to down the road.
I'm very glad to see progress, and it's great.
Exactly.
100%. Okay, so we do have a motion and a second. Any other comments or questions?
So just to be clear, I'm going to be changing all the swings to where there's going to be 4 belt swings, 1 toddler, and 1 ADA. Or is that the direction?
Yes.
Way I
Is that
understand
for
it.
all swings or is that just for Boris?
That's why I ask.
That's what I thought we were talking about. Was
I
just
would
Boris.
say all
Boris.
swings.
I'd say all.
I'd say all.
Yep.
I wanted to clarify that the motion includes that the funds are coming from the general fund.
Yes, it did.
I did.
Yes.
Mhm.
All right.
Yep.
Mhm.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
just to Mr. Nealon's clarification, the extra funds, not the entire budget, not the entire expenditure, correct?
Right.
Funds exceeding the budgeted allotment.
Yes.
For
Yes.
440,000.
Mr. Mayor, let me, not to muddy the waters and hopefully clarify them, we will come back to you with a specific accounting of where the money is coming from. We understand that we don't want to get too far into that tonight. But please recognize also that we'll probably ask for some specific authorization from council at the next meeting with that clarification, just so we're crystal clear, not only on the color of the cows or the ducks, but on where the money's coming from and how much it is.
Yes, let's have this
That will
completely.
not delay anything. We'll keep the project moving so that we meet the deadlines we've talked about here, but we'll be back to you with clarification on those details as well.
Yes, let's button it all up by the next meeting.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Okay. Any other?
Mr. Ragsdale, I have to echo everyone else's comments about, you hit the ground running and you put all this together in very short order. And you're making not only yourself look really good, you're making us all look good because you did it. You made it happen. So thank you.
thank you. And a lot of credit goes to Dave Helzer as well. I couldn't ask for a better guy to work with.
Good.
That's nice. Thanks,
All
Dave,
about-
if you're listening.
All about teamwork. Okay, let's get this going. So we have,
You have a motion and a second.
well, I think Mark, you look like you're gonna say something.
I was gonna start calling the roll, Mayor. I just,
Okay, here we go. Mr. Thompson, can you please call a vote?
Member Baranski,
Yes.
Member Blanky,
Yes.
Mayor Carnegie,
Yes.
Member Kalka,
Yes.
Member Lesich,
Yes.
Member Shornack,
Yep.
Member Winawiki.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you, everybody. Good job to all. Absolutely.
And congratulations, we're getting 3 parks.
Yes, thank you to everyone. This is wonderful.
Yay.
Why can't it be a grandpa and me swing if I'm gonna use it now?
And just so everyone knows, the day that we were out there looking at the 3 parks, it freaking snowed.
Snowed. And it was cold.
Snowed.
You were parking
You've
up.
all lived in Michigan, right? For your whole life? Why does this surprise you?
It was April.
It doesn't
matter.
matter.
Wait
Wait
20
10 seconds when
seconds.
weather changes.
It was late April.
It was literally last Thursday, wasn't it? Yeah, it was
I
like
know.
last Thursday.
Again, weather whiplash. Welcome to Michigan. Should be a bumper sticker.
Okay, item 3, city manager application review. Ms. Selma, you have the floor.
Great, thank you so much. We had a tremendous response of applicants for this position. I've provided details for 9 applications to City Council. My plan is to go through each candidate in numerical order and then ask to do kind of a straw vote, asking each council member if you are interested in moving forward with that particular candidate. Then we will have I will kind of tally up where we are, and then we can have additional discussion on finalizing the list of applicants to bring in. We have had the majority of the candidates request confidentiality, so I do ask that any discussion does happen in a non-identifiable way by the candidate number. After we determine the number of candidates that you would like to bring in, I do need to finalize the date for application of the interviews, but we'll handle one thing at a time. So first of all, if it's all right, I'd like to just get a sense of where everyone is by candidate. So maybe by show of hands would be fine.
Okay.
For candidate number 1. Oh, yeah.
Are you going by the sheets, the way they were listed on the sheets that you gave us?
Yes.
That's the numerical sequence. Okay.
Yes.
So just do a show of hands, no names, please. I'm just looking for a show of hands if you're interested in looking at proceeding with these people.
So
Correct.
candidate 1, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Candidate number 2. See 0. Candidate number 3. 1, 2, 3. Mayor, is that a 4?
Yes.
4, yeah, okay. Candidate number 4. See 1, 2, 3, 4. Candidate number 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Candidate number 6. 1, 2. Candidate number 7. 0. Candidate number 8. 1. Candidate number 9. 1. All right, so I have candidates number 1 and 5 had 7 votes. Then I have 2 candidates, number 3 and 4, that had 4 votes. The rest of the candidates had 2 or 0 votes. It seems like there's a tier of 4 candidates to move forward with, and then there's another tier of 5 candidates that don't seem to have significant interest in moving forward. Would we like to move forward with those 4 candidates, or would anyone like to suggest any discussion or just move forward with those 4?
What were the numbers again, Amy, just to make sure there's nothing borderline where we should
Sure.
bring that person anyway?
Candidate number 1 had 7 votes, 2 had 0, 3 had 4, 4 had 4, 5 had 7 votes, candidate 6 had 2 votes, candidate 7 had 0 votes, candidate 8 had 1, candidate 9 had 1.
So why don't we just bring back the one with 2 votes just to make sure?
Okay.
It's only added one other person and,
I'm fine with that.
yeah, okay.
Even though that's a person I voted for, I think we're fine with 4. I think it's too much for 5. We have the differential, you got 7 votes and then 4 votes. So why do we need to bring back the person with 2? That to me just seems like it's redundant.
I just thought if there were 2 people who voted for sure, I thought that would be best just to look at them, but if you're not sure on that vote, then that's fine too.
I personally don't think it's necessary.
I would agree because I was that other vote, so.
Okay, so then eliminate it.
We love your efficiencies.
I-
In the face of failures. Boom.
I'm just trying to make sure no one's dissatisfied with the process.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
So then the
thank-
second question, I know when I initially put out the interview schedule for May 6th, that there is now a Board of Appeals meeting at 7 p.m. Would council be comfortable with doing the interviews between 4 and 7 p.m. on that date? Or should I look at a different date?
That's on the 6th?
On the 6th, between 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. for the council interviews.
I can
Are
make
we
it
actually
work.
going to do these in person?
No, they'll be on Zoom. Yeah, they will be on Zoom. There will be, the candidates will be invited in earlier to have a socially distant tour of the city. But for the council interviews, which will also be broadcast because they will be held in public, it will be, in this format.
And none of us will be meeting ahead of time with the candidates. We'll all be just interviewing them in public together collectively, the 7 of us.
Correct.
And no one will be interviewing them. It'll just be here's our city, these are our people type of a thing.
Right. Well, I do plan to have a staff panel that will be providing feedback, and then I will also be collecting feedback from staff members after the staff panel as well as the council panel. And then I'll be consolidating that feedback and providing it to council.
Okay.
And
And
how
so then
long,
you would be able to make the decision on the 13th or have
How long-
information.
how long are the interviews? You want them to be 30 minutes or?
I was thinking 45 or about, actually
45?
probably 40 minutes with a 5-minute break.
For a minute.
That works.
So I'm sorry. I think I zoned out for 30 seconds and I missed probably a very critical part of what we were talking about. So you want to just do a special council meeting on 5/6 starting at 4 for all of us to do the interviews?
Yes.
Yeah, I did pay attention.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So it'll be done by 7 though.
Yes.
Woohoo!
Is that the only?
No, we can move
It's
it.
next week is like the worst week for me, guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's a bad week for me too.
Would it be better if we did it on a Friday?
Oh, no.
Well,
Oh, I'm just trying.
I have like the most like one of the most important personal obligations of the year next weekend. So, and it actually starts Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So every day that it's like, You know what? I'll just do it. It's fine. I can miss it. Somebody else can be there. My husband can be there. So it's probably better if I don't go anyway.
So Thursday the 6th is okay at 4?
Yeah. Yeah, that's fine.
How about with you, Mr. Mayor?
Oh, I can make it work.
So are we doing Thursday or are we doing Wednesday?
Thursday.
Thursday the 6th.
Yep.
So, Mr. Jadalt, do I have to call a special meeting for these interviews? Yes, I do, don't I? Yes.
Yeah. You'd be setting a special meeting for 4 o'clock on May the 6th
Right.
of the city council.
Right. Right. Okay, I'll do that.
And just for Amy Sell, do we have, based on the number of candidates we're going to be interviewing, do we have enough time to complete and wrap up so the zoning board can take over the Zoom at 7 o'clock?
Yes.
Should we start early just in case? Because I hate to have somebody just be like on the verge and need some more questions and we have to stop.
I'll put a 5-minute buffer in there. So I think
Okay.
I'll be pretty direct.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think 40 minutes is a long time with all the information you've given us.
Yeah, at least for a first interview.
Yeah, I feel like it's a third with all the information we got. I feel like I already know these candidates. I just want to commend you on this is how it should be done top to bottom, to have video clips and questions and a background check that is a true background check. I already know all of them so well. So thank you for that.
Okay, I will call a special meeting for May 6th, starting at 4 p.m. Be over by 7.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
can I ask the attorney a question, please?
sure, go ahead.
Would a motion be appropriate to cement our decision to interview these 4 candidates per the straw poll? Or just, are we good to go?
If you're asking, do we need a motion to direct Amy Sell? That's always my preference because that way she has clear direction by a motion rather than just a straw poll. And there can't be any confusion that way. So I do like that approach.
I would like to then make a motion to direct Amy Sell to set up interviews with candidate number 1, candidate number 3, candidate number 4, and candidate number 5.
I'll second.
We have a motion and second. Any comments or questions on that motion? I see none. Mr. Thompson, can you please call a vote?
Member Baranski,
Yes.
Member Blanky,
Yes.
Mayor Carnegie,
Yes.
Member Kalka,
Yes.
Member Lesich,
Yes.
Member Shornack,
Yes.
Member Winowicki.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Okay, thank you, Amy. Well, nice job again. Item 7, report of mayor and city council. I know we had a report last week, but if anyone would like to, I'll just start at the top. Patrice, I'm not even gonna call you first, now you want to go first.
Oh, no, because you said stop. Because I was actually, somebody, resident brought something to my attention yesterday, and I happened to be talking to Mr. Ragsdale about it. And then I was going to send an email to Mr. Thompson, so then, to follow the chain of command. But so apparently, and I know I'd heard about this before too, but I don't want to lose this opportunity. Candace Miller's office is offering to go half in to clean out drains. So we would have to do half, the county would pay half of it. I think this would be a really good opportunity for some of our drains to be cleared. Because we all know if we get a significant rain, Garfield tends to flood a bit. And a couple other streets where those I call them like little canals, but run, but they're quite overgrown and stuff like that. And I know that's a lot of work for the DPW, and I know they can't get to it all the time. So I would like it if we could have Mr. Thompson ask Mr. Ragsdale's group, the DPW, to research that and find out what that would cost us to clear that out. Especially if they're going 50% in. I don't think we'll get another opportunity like this anytime in the near future. So I just wanted to bring that up.
We'll be happy to follow up on that, and having looked at a lot of those, there's a lot of work to be done in those water courses. I'm unaware of the program that you're mentioning, but we will certainly follow up on it. Thank you.
Okay, that would be great. Yeah, because I just, like I said, I just want to know if there's ever a time, I'm thinking that time is now to kind of get those things going in the right direction as well.
And those are above drains only at this time.
Yeah. They're like the little
Yep.
trenches. I don't even know what you want to call them. But you know what I'm saying? You guys all know what I'm saying. Y'all have them. Y'all see them, especially by the high
Yeah.
schoolers. That
I don't think she's released all the information, but yes, you are correct.
Yeah, so I just figure, well, we might as well get in the front of the line if it's something we can actually do.
Sure.
Be proactive for once.
Absolutely.
Other than that, we have a meeting in like a week, so I'm good.
Okay. Councilman Baranski, do you have anything?
Yes, just simply since I have Mr. Ragsdale here, and we're talking about the parks, do we have an update as to when the path in Pompo Park is going to be completed? Or I don't know if Mr. Thompson would know this. Or is this something that this vendor is MIA and we need to get someone else to do this?
No, we have talked with that contractor, and they're on board to come back in and get that fixed. In terms of a specific date, I don't have that. This time of year is kind of, those things are weather dependent. Certainly asphalt is. And as I think we reported some time ago, we still have great leverage with the contractor there. So you have no doubt, you may have no doubt that that work will get done, and it will get done soon. But it's weather dependent, and frankly, we don't want them doing it in bad weather either. The product is better when the weather is better.
Yeah, and then I just want to let the residents know that at least the three of us that were out looking at the parks we just did improvements on, and we spoke with Mr. Thompson and we spoke with Mr. Ragsdale about the paths there. And at least in terms of the three of us, our vision was that we would go back afterwards, because those paths were not as bad as the paths that were in desperate need of repair in the other parks. We would go back afterwards at some point in the near future and do an assessment and try to do a global quote. That was how I anticipated, and I know the two council members that I was with, Mr. Winowicki and Ms. Kelka, to make sure that all of the paths get the TLC they need, but we really wanted to get this equipment done. And so we didn't forget about your paths, we just have it in a different column. And so that will be something that I will be pushing, and I'm sure Kelka and Winowicki will be helping to push that along as well. Thank you.
Okay, and just to add on to about the restoration, it's actually part of my notes for our agenda meeting with Mark next week. Even Fruhoff restoration, Utica restoration, the park finished restoration. So there's quite a few items that either they're going to be on the agenda or we're going to be talking about next week to try to get dates for everybody on all of those subjects. Mayor Pro Tem Winowicki.
Again, Mark Thompson, condolences. Mark Ragsdale, great job. I'll get with you next week on the crack filler. And everyone else today for all their support and votes. I think we did a lot of really cool things here tonight.
Okay. Councilman Shornack, do you have anything else? No. Councilman Lessig.
Yes, thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to Amy Self for the presentation of the city manager information. It was very comprehensive. Come a long way in a few months, and I really appreciated having everything at my fingertips. Second, I had a resident reach out to me about Fruhoff and wanted to know if the restoration and everything was complete. I said I did not believe they were quite finished. They had some punch list items, and they had some grass that didn't take, etc. So could I point them to the DPW, to you, Mark Ragsdale, and your department to address any concerns they might have on the finishing up of the crew?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'll do that. And that's about it. I guess we'll be meeting next week and the week after that and the week after that. So that's enough for me. Thank you very much.
Councilwoman Blanky.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Back in 1991 is when Fort Fraser kind of hit the ground and they started that big community effort like we've never seen since. And here we are in the year 2021. And to my point, a lot of people will say that Fraser has changed or things have changed or no, if you take a good close look at our community, nothing has changed. The people are still good people here. The people still contribute to the community. The other day, there were a bunch of people that went out and cleaned the parks, which was very nice. And my park cleaning days are over, but it was nice to see young children and Boy Scout troops and so on and so ever. I am confident with the new individuals and I don't want to say employees because they're part of who we are now in our city. And I'm grateful for the decisions, the hard decisions and the work that we did as a council together to bring these people here to enrich our town. And I'm confident that if you look real close, our town has not changed. It's still what it is. It's still Fraser. And you can turn on TV, watch the nation news, watch the county news, and somehow, by the grace of God, we still stand without headlines and without a whole bunch of stuff negative. So I would like to thank everyone, the residents, the employees, the council. We haven't changed. We're still here. And I think that we are going to be here for a long time. So thank you for listening and have a good week. God bless. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. So I have a couple, actually I have a few things to talk about. First, I just want to thank Amy Sell, thank Mark Thompson, thank Mark Ragsdale, thank Vince Nealand. I feel like we've turned a corner and I am so happy. I am so happy. And I can't thank you enough for sticking in there month after month, dealing with the mountain that you had to climb. And I'm very forever grateful that I feel like we're finally getting the city on track the way it should be. And without all the toxicity, I finally feel like this is what I had envisioned for our city. Efficiency. These interviews for the city manager, Ms. Sell, are outstanding. You did such a nice job putting this together. So thank you so very much. Mr. Ragsdale, I've already said it once. What you've done in the last 2-3 weeks has been outstanding. So thank you again. I did have a couple of things that I wanted to talk about. I know that there's a lot going on here. I've had a couple of personal experiences with attempting to try to get permits from my contractor, who has said on multiple occasions that there's still problems with the BSNA permit website. Just something to look into, that when you, I guess, go ahead and try to get your permit, it's not generating properly. So you end up paying twice, a lot of red tape. I don't know. She has had multiple conversations with City Hall, who don't seem to know the answers to her questions. So if maybe Mr. Thompson or Mr. Nealand, if you can look into that and just try to find out what the issue is, because it's not clear to the contractors. And I just want to streamline that process a little bit just for them.
Ms.
And again,
Perhaps separately, you can email a name or an address or something like that, so we can
Sure.
follow up on that specifically with that individual. Thank you very much.
Fair enough. I appreciate that. The only other issue is that it's been going on. So it was supposed to be cleared up the last time and it didn't get cleared up, but that's okay. The other thing is, I wanted to find out about food trucks and the permits that are required. I know that for Meadows, Fraser Meadows, I know that we are planning to have at least one food truck this summer, and I wanted to make sure that we were proactive in getting permits if necessary, or if there were permits that are waiting to be issued for businesses in Fraser for food trucks, that if there's something I can do to help streamline that or what needs to be done, I would appreciate that, because I would like that to be kind of a integral part of our summertime. A couple other things is that the Fraser Farmers Market, and I know I'm not gonna have time to talk about this next week, so Fraser Farmers Market is the Saturday, May 8th, and it is from 9 until 1 p.m. It is the first market of the year. I encourage everyone to come out and take a look. There's gonna be 14 vendors. And I know that Ms. Sutherland has worked very hard in trying to put this together. So I know that it's going to be, hopefully it'll be very successful. So please come on out. The other thing I wanted to just mention is that Fraser Meadows North is having an entire sub sale the week of June 17th to the 19th. We're going to have a food truck out there. There's going to be live entertainment on Saturday, the 19th. And I will continue to repeat that as we go, because I just want to make sure that the residents know about it. We're trying to start something amazing. So thank you, and I'll see you next week.
Great. Thank you. Okay, at this time, citizen participation. Is there anybody out in the audience who would like to have any comments for tonight? Okay, I see none. So at this time, I'll make a motion to go into closed session to consult with city's legal counsel regarding trial or settlement strategy in connection with the Macomb County Circuit Court Case 2019-002843-CD.
Can we take a 5-minute break?
Yep. We'll go into closed session at 8:33.
Yeah, we need to vote.
Need to vote.
Mr. Thompson, please call vote.
Member Baranski,
Yes.
Member Blanky,
Yes.
Mayor Carnegie,
Yes.
Member Kalka,
Yes.
Member Lesich,
Yes.
Member Shornack,
Yes.
Member Winowicki.
Yes.
Okay, see you in 5.
Quick ladies really break.
Okay, I'll go ahead and call the meeting back to order at 9:05 PM. At this time, I will entertain a motion. Mayor Pro
Motion
Tem,
to
To
adjourn.
adjourn.
we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Good night, all.
Motion carries.
Have a good night, everyone.
Have a good weekend.